Hello folks, this is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers, reporting today on the channel Good Day, Good Prayers. Today, actors playing actors. Very interesting conversation indeed. How is it that actors can portray actors? If you are an actor, it's very interesting to portray somebody from history. It's very interesting to portray a character from some other place in this world. But isn't it interesting sometimes an actor gets a job portraying an actor? Well, maybe he knows a little bit of something about that person because of the fact that he too, or she too, happens to also be an actor. But how does it happen? Well, in this case, it isn't going to happen in quite the same way as what you might think it would in, say, Hollywood. Because in this case, it's not going to happen in Hollywood. It's going to happen somewhere else. Now, you are going to be from Central Casting, and there may be 200,000, maybe 300,000 of you who are actually working out of Central Casting. And yes, you probably are wearing a CGI mask. You probably have that little mouthpiece right there so that when you speak through the mouthpiece, you actually sound like the person you are trying to portray. That's exactly how the actors do it. They do that in Hollywood, but they also do that in other places as well. What about Washington, D.C.? Is it possible that the people that you think represent you in the political arena are actually actors? Oh, somebody knows who these people are. Maybe they grew up with them. Maybe they went to school with them. Maybe they were in college with them. Whatever. But at the time when they became a politician, is it possible that they were an actor? Well, the deep state, the globalist government, the central banking system, the cabals, all of these different groups of people coming together, and the people who are the politicians are actually working for them. The way it worked was that the globalists took over the Democratic Party first, then they took over the Republican Party. Now, how did they get the Republican Party? It was very interesting, really. And Bill Clinton said it pretty much the best of anybody I've ever heard say it. They took low-level Democrats that weren't able to compete with the people that were already in place in that party. They put them in the Republican Party. And then the Democratic mouthpiece, which is the media, built these people up to the point where they wound up getting elected as Republican politicians. So it's very interesting that they wound up then becoming a part of the Republican Party, but they weren't a part of the Republican Party. They were actually Democrats, and they always were Democrats and always will be Democrats, but they're playing a part. The Democrats are playing a part, and the people posing as Republicans are also playing a part. They all have handlers. There are people that they have to answer to, and those people that they have to answer to report to the higher-ups. Interesting, isn't it? Because the higher up is not the President of the United States. The higher up is not somebody in Congress. The higher up is somebody in the central banking system. And they have to answer to those people. They are told in each and every case how they are to vote. Now, if they want it to look like it's bipartisan, okay, you are a Democrat and you have been selected as a congressperson through the Republican Party, so you have to act as if you're a Republican in this particular vote. You have to go ahead and vote as if you're a Republican. So they do. They vote as if they are a Republican. Now, then something very important comes along, something that is earth-shaking. Now you have to vote in a block with the Democrats. You're no longer a Republican in this case. This is when you really earn your money, because you cross the aisle and you vote with the Democrats. And this is how it's worked since 1871. What happened in 1871? Well, they were getting ready to have the holiday break, and there was a certain group of politicians, congressional people, that were heading home for the holidays. And as soon as they left, the rest of them reconvened, and they went ahead and they voted on something called the London Act of 1871. Suddenly, Washington, D.C. becomes a corporation. The man who is in the White House, Grant, is forced to sign the legislation, signs it into law. Why did he sign it into law? Because he basically had no choice. Probably they had something on him and he was afraid of what it was, and so he signed it into law. Now, let's move forward to today. After Kennedy was assassinated, there was a group of people in the Pentagon. I believe there was 79 of them, if I remember correctly. And they came together and decided that they needed to take back the government from the deep state, from the globalists, from the banking system, if you will. And so what did they do? They began to form something called the Alliance. And as they were forming this alliance, they realized that they were going to have to change everything, including the economic system and everything. So about the beginning of the 1990s, they had a group of people that they had hired that were going to begin to work on a new economic system. This system was going to be a system that would free the people from the enslavement of the central banking system. The central banking system, of course, works on the SWIFT system, the fiat currency, which is not attached to gold backing. The new system, well, it's going to be gold-backed. It's going to be called the quantum system. You're going to have the quantum health system, the quantum financial system, the quantum education system, and everything is going to be changed. How is it going to be changed? Very interestingly, it's going to be changed because of the fact that it's going to give you the freedom. On our next show, we will continue with this information, and hopefully we will be able to complete it in one more show. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers, and I want you to have a good day. Now, how do you have a good day? Well, the best way to do it is to start out with good prayers. And if those good prayers reach the throne of God, well, that's the key. You're liable to have a good day then. So with that said, you folks have a good day.